Ever since gaming became popularized from the ancient relics of PlayStation 1s and the Nintendo NES, gaming has had ups and downs. However, recently, it appears that video games haven't really been making any revolutionary advancements, or any notable new release for that matter. The latest hit viral game that I remember was Marvel Rivals, which we refer to as simply the better Overwatch. And that's partly because of the massive hate Blizzard Entertainment got from creating Overwatch 2, which literally no one asked for. And in terms of consoles and other external factors that also affect gaming such as price, also seem to be going downhill. I'm sure you know by now that Nintendo Switch 2 reveal ended up as a total flop, and people are raging about the prices for the coming games that actually seem exciting to play. All of this may seem like a coincidence, but is it really? The truth is that we are currently in a game recession. That's right, you were born too early to explore the universe, too late to explore the world, but just in time to be in a video game recession. For all you non-believers out there, and those still in doubt, we will go over the evidence of the gaming recession. Not too long ago, we were still advertising games with peak performance, mainly games that could operate at maximum graphics. But that's it. There is not going to be a higher standard for graphics. We have already come far enough from 8-bit games to 16-bit and 32-bit games. Now that we have 4K resolution, there isn't really much to improve upon. And even if we do, most people won't have a use for it, or they may not even be able to afford a monitor strong enough to run it. The only thing that could use some improvement is stuff like virtual reality, with those goggles that you put on for those people that like to play 3D Among Us or something. But all in all, I doubt people even care much about graphics these days, since it seems Roblox is popular these days and Roblox is not exactly famous for its graphics. The main part of gaming is obviously the games, and I will say that even that has started to stagnate. First, I would like you to think the latest revolutionary games that truly define a genre or inspired people to create similar games. If you literally ask Google what are some revolutionary games, the latest games you will get is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is 8 years old already, with a sequel. Other games which were considered staple for gaming are also quite old now, such as Fortnite, which is also 8 years old. And it's the same for most genres of gaming. Metroidvania? Well, Hollow Knight once again came out 8 years ago. Souls-like? Well, I'll give it a pass since there are many fairly recent Souls-like, such as Elden Ring and Lies of P. However, these games are not accessible to everyone as, after all, they are Souls-like, meaning it is meant to be hard and grueling to beat. Finally, in terms of roguelikes, most of its iconic games such as Dead Cells and Slay the Spire, two completely different gameplay styles, both of which have inspired many other games, are both 8 years old as well. Most of these games I just mentioned have defined or represent their respective genres, each with their massive community and games inspired by them. When was the last time we got another game like these? All of these games, with the exception of Souls-like, are at least 8 years old, showing you how long it's been since a good console or PC game came out. We've been so deprived of groundbreaking games that some of the biggest jokes are about how long it will take for Silksong, the prequel to Hollow Knight, and GTA 6 to come out. At this rate, we will get flying cars or invent time travel before any of the two get released. And if you talk about mobile games, tell me the last time a new, never-before-seen game like Plants vs. Zombies or Angry Birds came out. Other popular games like Clash Royale and Brawl Stars seem to be at the end of their lifespans. In fact, the latest mainstream groundbreaking game that came out might have been Among Us. Yet nowadays, virtually no one plays it or mentions it anymore. This is clear to me that we won't be getting any new types of games. The era for innovation finished 8 years ago, when the games I mentioned earlier came out. Now, companies and franchises just keep releasing the same type of game but with slightly different content and world. The gameplay is mainly the same, and with some games, this has been happening for a long time. Take some games like FIFA, Super Mario, Mario Kart, and Pokemon. Each new game in the franchise is almost gameplay-like identical to the previous one. It's almost the equivalent to adding a couple of big mods on a Minecraft world to make it look more slick, with some extra mechanics and content. Unless the unfathomable creative game releases soon, we will literally end up playing something like Man, the Game. Despite video games being used to immerse ourselves in them and escape the real world, the world around us is like one of the biggest factors affecting video games as a whole. And it is not impossible to say that even the world is currently against video games. Currently, the economy in major parts of the world is not great. For example, USA. There has also been the war between Russia and Ukraine, meaning playing and developing games isn't particularly people's main concern. Also, I'm sure most people here have seen the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement, which shows their extremely high prices for practically everything it offers. Then there are the other things like gaming content becoming scarce ever since TikTok and YouTube Shorts came out, since people pass their time on that more and Roblox becoming really popular, which certainly isn't helping. Anime has also gotten a surge of popularity this past decade, which also took people away from the gaming market into the anime market, or created a weird mix between the two by making games like Genshin Impact or Doki Doki Literature Club. Also, 90% of online multiplayer games have all started operating with subscriptions and battle passes, which sort of oversaturates the genre. Finally, if you decide to take a look on what is going on in the media, the biggest debate right now is not over games, it's not over who the strongest character is or anything of the sort. The biggest question right now is whether or not 100 men could beat one gorilla. In the past, other internet media like the Backrooms, the SCP Foundation, or even further back like Slenderman could make for some creative material for people to make games about them, which they have. However, other than 100 men versus one gorilla debate, the biggest piece of media was Italian Brain Rot, its most popular ones featuring Tralalero Tralala, a shark with sneakers, and Bombardilo Crocodilo, a flying bombing crocodile with some other obscure ones like Tung 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 Sahur and Brr Brr Patapim. Yeah, this is already incredibly ridiculous, and wouldn't you know it, the only game that has come from this is from Roblox, and I don't even know if I can even call it a game. At this point, it is causing humans to devolve. In the end, I cannot see any way to get out of the gaming recession, and if our future does stay like this, then we can only hope that whatever new games and consoles come out at least aren't worse than what we already have.